BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. That was a piece that was written in the 10th century by Hildegard von Bingen, or otherwise known as Saint Hildegard, because she was a Kundalini active woman in the 10th century in parts of Germany. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. It was performed by a group named Shanti, S-H-A-N-T-I, and then repeated. And very, very, very serene, sacred piece that responds well to my Kundalini, other people's Kundalini as well. And so I wanted to share that with you. And since we are not a commercial enterprise, it can only help. Shanti. to sell more of their albums. That would be on the East West album that they produced a while back, and it is it's hard. I'm not really getting the Latin name at the moment. I don't have the thing on that. It's Virginas Viritas or some sort of a thing, but you'll see it, and it's on there. And you can also go on if you have iTunes, if you have an Apple product. You can go onto iTunes. You could go to the East West album, and you can get it from there as well. I've used Shanti Shanti since before I started teaching, because they at first they were specializing in sacred chants in Sanskrit from India, and I do recommend them for the chants, not necessarily for their other songs, which I feel are kind of not a par of say the sacred chanting. You would know that, of course, I would have the sacred chants. You know, I would care far more about them than I would about any other kind of song that they would write. Not that they're bad; they're not bad. It's just that for me, in my process, I was interested in the sacred Sanskrit chanting. Interesting story that I'll let you explore, on their website and whatnot. So it's from Shanti Shanti. So hello and welcome everybody, and I would like to welcome my co-host, and I won't do the same introduction that I have done with her in the past. But I would like to welcome Amelia Satara into the program. Hello, Amelia. If you're awake, if
Hello.
You're not in the shower, there you are.
I am here. Hello, Chrism. Hello, listeners. Good to be here as always on a Wednesday. And that was beautiful, Chrism. I love that music. It is so serene and it is very sacred. It's devotional music for me. I love it. It's beautiful. So maybe I'll begin, as I often and usually do, by giving people the address they can go to if they would like to support the work that Chrism does and make a donation. You can go to the website called ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and on the upper right-hand corner you will see a donate button. And please, if you would like to make a donation, please do so. There's never any pressure for anybody to do it, and there's no expectation, indeed, for anybody to make a donation. But all donations and gifts are gratefully received. So that is the address again, ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And just about the chat room, welcome everybody there. I'm looking at Julie and Elizabeth and Fashti and a number of guests with numbers after them. Hello to you all. And Sukha, good to see you as usual on a Wednesday. If any of you have any questions, phone in on the number, and that is 347-934-0026. And maybe in the chat room you would let us know if the sound is okay and you're hearing Chrism okay as well. And that's it, Chrism. Looking forward to the show.
Thank you, Amelia. And I too would like to welcome everybody in the chat room, as well as everybody who is listening to the program in the archives. Hello to you. I would like to welcome all the sleepers, the people who listen to this program as they sleep. And so I would like to welcome you and your Kundalini awakening expression as you experience this program in the dream state. So, today's program, I'd like to talk about the emotional controls that a person needs to practice. It doesn't matter really when you do it or under what circumstance you initiate emotional controls. What really matters is that you do it consistently. You don't get to do it and then think, oh, okay, it's all good. I did my emotional control. Therefore, I am now emotionally controlled. No. This is an ego training here. Now, I have to say, most of us in this United States and in Europe and around the globe really are controlled by our egos. When we're born and we're baby, it's all about survival, and the ego aids us in that level of existence, helping us to continue to exist as we survive many different areas and challenges that early life offers us. When you have the Kundalini, however, you need to mature out of total dependence upon the ego and to bring emotional control into the picture. Now, to some degree, at least, from what I've observed throughout my travels, we learn the many different emotional controls that we need to practice while we're in society. Society-based emotional controls would be not crying if you don't get your own way, at least not out loud. You can cry, a lot of people do, or whine or complain inside. That stupid boss, he didn't give my raise, and I deserve it. And, or, that stupid neighbor and his old blue pickup. Oh, my gosh, how can he stand to drive that? I hate to look at it in his driveway every day, and I have to look at it. He's my neighbor. Talk about there are many different ways that we use the ego as a continuing force of control in our lives and how we relate with ourselves and how we relate with other people. So it's really important to constantly self-correct. I don't care if you're a teacher or not. Really. You could hear one person from me and then change the channel for the rest of your life, but if you practice the emotional controls, you will go much further into your Kundalini than you otherwise would. And so now, before I go on and on and on, about this, I'd like to do a little bit of a sound quality check with our friends in the chat room. Fashji, if you could maybe give us a call and report how things are going in the chat room, it would be much appreciated. I don't like to just talk on and on and on when people aren't hearing clearly. So if somebody could call the number 347-934-0026, let us know the sound quality that you're experiencing there in the chat room. I know there are other people who are listening on their computers right now, and I'd like to say hello to you, and I'd like to say, you're welcome to call in at 347-4026 and report on sound quality as well. And how was the sound quality as regards to the, this must be somebody here, I'll go, oh, it's a question. There's a question on the new caller. Oh, hello.
Hello. Yeah, this is Fashi.
Hey, how's the sound quality, my friend?
It's, honestly, it's a little choppy, Master C.
Okay. Is it because I'm too loud?
I don't know really what it is. Sometimes it flows very smoothly, and then other times it'll start the chopping or choppiness.
Was that during the music as well?
No. Nor during when Santara was speaking.
So it's just when I'm...
Well, it's that energy thing that we talked about. Turn it down, Master C. Turn it down.
It's funny you should mention that. As many of you know, the Kundalini definitely interferes with electronic instruments. I've been so blessed to have this iPad relatively unscathed, but I'm sitting here in my car, and I, right before the show, like not 5 minutes before the show, I was on Skype with Amelia trying to get a sound check for the music because I didn't want it to be unfortunate for people. And so I played it at a volume I liked. She said, "Oh, it's way too loud. It's cutting out." So I turned it way, way, way down, and then I started it again and it would play. I turned the car off, turned it on again. It wouldn't play. I pressed the button, pulled it in, pulled it out, checked the volume. It wouldn't play. It wouldn't even play the radio. So I'm just like, oh, jeez, you know. And I gave up on it, but I did try it, and then it did work. So the music came through okay. That's good to hear.
And so are you, intermittently.
Intermittently. I'm trying to back up as far as I can. Maybe I should sit in the back seat. I don't know. I'll just... Thank you,
okay.
Patsy. Thank
I'm
you,
heading off into the green.
All right.
I think maybe you should get into the back seat.
I'll tilt the chair way back. Okay.
John is also telling me that it was choppy upstairs when listening to you, but that the music was okay. And sometimes
John.
your volume goes up and down. Yeah. Anyway.
Way back now, I'm in low rider position here. Low rider.
And actually, Julie concurs. Fashchi was very clear, but you were still a bit choppy.
Oh, man. All right. So I'm going to turn the volume way down here on my voice. And it's I feel almost like I'm in a vocal meditation thing now, where I'm just kind of saying Om Mani Padme Om, or Om to myself right now. It's kind of relaxing, actually, sitting this far back from the microphone. I will continue. Please, Julie, Fashji, and anybody else that would like to participate, let us know if the sound quality is breaking up.
That's much better, Chrism.
Oh gosh, jeez, I can barely hear myself. Emotional control is absolutely, it is absolutely necessary and absolutely a huge aspect of the Kundalini awakening. As I mentioned earlier, if the chop didn't break it up, it's, we are raised to live by our ego. We're raised to scrabble for that food, and to scrabble for attention, and for love, and for pleasure. The ego is really about the pursuit of pleasure and the pursuit of other areas, even of narcissism. The ego's all about that. And I'm going to really, really, really strongly suggest that those of you within the Kundalini, even just the activated portion of it, need to really begin to understand the levels of ego involvement that a person goes through. And let's not quibble about this. This ego is part of who you are. And I know that the Vedas and the rishis that wrote this, or at least the Rig Veda, the interpretations that flowed from their writings that exist in contemporary Indian society is all about destroying the ego, annihilating the ego, kill the ego. And of course I'm saying, no. Just as you wouldn't cut off your nose to spite your face, you don't get rid of your ego, you just retrain it. In the Huna philosophy, the ego is as much a part of our equation as any other part. Unihipili is what the ego is called in Huna. Ohane is the middle self, and Amakua is the higher self. This will not jive, however, with contemporary Huna practices in Hawaii, but it is there is a level of ancient oral history and tradition that goes back thousands of years. Even before the Huna was established in Hawaii. And it does fit a Kunalini model. I hope people can hear me. I feel like I'm really quiet. Anyway, so as we look to retrain the ego, it must be something that is done all the time. You don't just get to do a few practices and the 5 Tibetans once a week or whatever and go, okay, everything's good. No. You've had the ego in control of you for however many years you've been alive before your Kundalini came up. So we're talking decades and decades for some of us. Most of us, if not, well, not, but most of us, the great majority of us, have been controlled by our ego's wants and desires for decades and decades, many, many, many years. And for you to think that you can just go out one day and go, okay, I forgave my Aunt Joni for being mean to my mom. All right, I've done my ego practice. No. It has to be done every day, every single day. And forgiveness is the most important one to do. But then right next to forgiveness is that self-correction that needs to be done every single day. And I will go so far as to say 24 hours a day, these practices need to be constantly rolling within you, constantly self-correction. Do you lash out at people because you're angry at them? Do you say things that you don't mean just for the effect? What are you doing? Control with the ego. For those of you who are going into positions of power and authority, how can you expect to have a high quality of authority over other people's lives if you yourself haven't been emotional controls with your ego? How can you expect to have Kundalini awaken within you and have the power that comes with that and not work on your ego controls, your emotional controls? How are you responding? Now, if you don't do Kundalini emotional controls, then basically Kundalini will your antagonistic, ego-based energy will let people so badly. You'll destroy friendships. You'll destroy relationships. You'll destroy the position that you have in life amongst other people simply because you have no way of modulating the amount of energy that's flowing through the ego. And I constantly tell my private students, you must initiate ego control on yourself. I don't even want to work with you if you're not going to be doing ego controls. And that's sincere. That is absolutely the way it is. If you're not able to initiate some form of ego-based emotional controls, then the Kundalini will flow through you and she will teach you the harsh lessons. You'll have friends. You'll alienate your family. You won't attain high office. You won't attain the job that you want to get. You won't become that which you can become simply because your ego body and your emotional body is blocking it. You must self-correct your way through this. You must force yourself not to respond in the ways that you've been responding for 10, 20, 30, years. And I know it's a tall order. It's a high, tall order that I am suggesting for you. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. But I am saying that for you to establish a strong and evolutionary-based Kundalini awakening process, you're going to need to establish emotional controls. You don't get to lash out at the teacher, no matter what. That just makes me feel sorry for you, number one, and I can recognize that you're not doing your emotional work, number two, and the ego in you will find every way possible for it not to be blamed, for it not to respond to worked on. Every excuse in the book will be given, every reason, and it'll back it up with logic and oh, you did this, and oh, I feel the energy in you, and No. You don't get to do that with the teacher or with anybody. You don't even get to do it that way with yourself. You need to change. Now, I'll admit that I'm a fairly challenging teacher. I don't, you may hear me every week, on this program. You may think, oh gosh, he's not as bad as he said. I am horrible. I'm a horrible, horrible. Now, the students that I have would say, oh, no, you're not so bad. And I have to be challenging. I have to be. It is part of what comes through me to be for people. And a lot of it has to do with the emotional control. You must understand how absolutely important this is, because it will block you. It will block you, and it will keep you in this purgatory of emotional excitation and emotional expression and emotional abuse in some cases. And this is not a good place to be. This can really twist your awakening until you're able to find your way through it, if you are able to find your way through it. Practice tolerance. Practice the forgiveness of yourself as well. Be tolerant of other people. Be tolerant of situations that don't meet the needs of your ego. Your ego is not going to die. Your ego is not going to just disappear. Oh, I have to leave my ego. No, it's not true at all. Not true at all. You really, really want to begin to bring yourself into an understanding that puts time and action inside of a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week cycle of ego control, emotional control. No longer are you shouldn't be whining about things. You shouldn't be so defensive that nobody can fit a word in edgewise. You need to be able to listen with the truth of your heart, with the truth of Kundalini in you. Listen to how you are. Don't just bubble off at the mouth. You need to listen to how you are responding to others, especially those that you perceive as being antagonistic to you. Now, I'm not saying that, somebody cuts you off in traffic or whatever, does something that you don't like, that you can't have an expression of anger. That's okay, but don't let it last long. And pretty soon, you won't have that expression of anger. You really want this seriously, my friends. There's that your life is sculpted. It's being sculpted by the emotional body, which in typical contemporary terms is being hijacked by the Kundalini. Well, partly by the Kundalini, but by the ego. The ego hasn't been trained hard enough by most of us, so it doesn't begin to take over when the Kundalini starts shooting through it. And a lot of people, I've read some people who are seen as teachers by others that if you're a real egotistical person, well, when the Kundalini comes to you, if you were an asshole before, well, you're an enormous asshole now. And I can't disagree with them if the ego is not being modulated, if the ego and the emotional bodies are not being worked on. You need to listen to how you are. Don't just respond to people without listening to your own emotions first. Don't feel that you have the authority and the right to blast people because they've done something wrong to you, or at least you perceive them as doing something wrong to you. You don't have that authority within the Kundalini. Kundalini is your ultimate authority. And the Kundalini is telling you, control the emotional body. The emotional body is one of the 5 koshas that surround the human being, and you must explore this kosha, this body of expression. Really need to bring it into fruition. A lot of us are defensive. A lot of us are defensive about how we are and who we are and what we are. And I'm going to say, go back to zero. You're nothing. And how you are is nothing. And what you are is unimportant. You have nothing to defend. Nothing from nothing is nothing. Go back to those beautiful, blissful 0 points and begin to initiate a new status, a new stage in your expression of Kundalini activation and awakening. Is this being heard? Anyone? Am I just talking to myself here?
It's excellent, Chrism.
Okay. Thank you, Santara. Okay, so it's so strange for me sitting way back. I have a reading from the Radiance Sutra that I'd like to do right now. I'm going to give it to you. Here it is. Meditate on the self as being vast as the sky, a body of energy extending in all directions, above, below, all around, in the embrace of infinite space, awaken to your born divine energy, revealing himself and herself as you. This is all about Kundalini. This is from the Radiant Sutras, Radiant Sutra number 167. And I would like to thank Josephine Smith for this beautiful gift that we all get to share. It's easy for people to simply sit back and go, "Oh, I'm emotional controlled. Oh yes, I'm very good. I don't respond to anything emotionally. I'm very controlled, and I'm very aware of how I am with my emotions and other people." And some people are actually like that, and they don't even have Kundalini. You know, some therapists are like that, or some MDs are like this. With the MDs, you know, they're so. Well, very few MDs are like that, actually. But some are. The ones that I have met that I like, you know, they're very. They choose a loving format as opposed to an antagonistic format. I think that is very beautiful, very wonderful of them to do that. So, not everybody is consumed by the level of ego expression as everybody else. All different stages of growth, even within the Kundalini awakening. We have different blockages in different areas of the energetic anatomy. But one of the most important bodies to work on, the 2 bodies to work on, is the psychological body, which is the ego, and the emotional body, which are your feelings. These 2 bodies form a very powerful and strong basis for our ability to express ourselves to each other, our environment, and to our God, and to our goddess, and to ourself as we self-talk our way through our day. Think about it. Listen to yourself. What are you thinking right now? What is your self-talk telling you, that inner dialogue that you're having? What is that? What is saying? And if you have entities, or you have Kundalini, you have entities, well, forget about what the entities are saying. They are always going to be a source of dislocation for you. Consume your consciousness in a way. So don't worry about entities, just ignore them. But do be concerned with yourself and what your inner dialogue is telling you. And I mentioned the entities because sometimes they try to interject themselves into your inner dialogue. For those of you that are experienced with entities, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know, just as well. You don't need to know, at least not at this time anyway. So pay attention to what it is you're saying to yourself throughout the day. How are you relating to the manager that may, control your work? How are you thinking about your coworker? How are you thinking about your spouse, about your kids, about strangers that you see on the street? What kind of judgments are you making about other people? What kind of opinions are you forming about other people? What kind of opinions are you forming about yourself? You don't perform, up to the qualities of performance that your job requires or your spouse expects of you. What's your inner dialogue saying to you about anything, about everything throughout your day? Very important for you to pay attention to what you're saying to yourself, because it's going to relate directly to what you say to other people. And what you say to other people and what you say to yourself is relating directly to the level of emotional body blockage or non-blockage that the Kundalini in your energetic anatomy is going to experience. This takes us right into the understandings of grudges and judgments that your ego will turn into fact about another person. So you hear on the news, oh, the homeless person did this, or oh, the homeless person did that. And you hear this over and over and over, and pretty soon your ego starts to go, oh, yeah, homeless people are like that. They're all that way. Yes, they're all that way, and we should be very, very wary of them because they're all that way. And this is not true. Homeless person can be Jesus in disguise, as Magdalene and I experienced just the other week. Jesus doesn't come to people in bright, brilliant streamers of light with a huge, brilliant, lit-up halo around him going, yes, here I am, your God has appeared before you. No. Jesus comes to people as a homeless person, standing on a corner near Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. And a lot of people have a hard time going into the divine with this thing. And I purposefully did not give my understanding what had occurred, except to say it was divinity. And it wasn't. He wasn't there for me. He was there for the person that I was with. Same as Jesus has appeared more than once. Now, look at your self-talk. Listen to yourself. You're going, wow, gosh, that Chrism, he's always way out there. God mentioned Jesus for crying out loud. He must be one of those holy rollers. Or he must be, some sort of a guy. I mean, who's going to say in public that they saw Jesus? My word, God, get that guy some Klonopin. Get him some Prozac. My God, think about it. So pay attention to what your self-talk is. And all negative. The self-talk isn't always negative. You can go, oh, God, what a beautiful woman. Oh, God, what a beautiful flower. I'm so happy to have met you. I'm so happy to see you succeed. The very positive aspects, and I will certainly ask you to focus on those positivities, although not at the exclusion of all negativities. What I'm asking you to do is remove your ego judgment. Remove the little child inside you, behind your eyes, who responds in fear, in judgment, who responds defensively, who is really there to protect status and position. Did you hear that? Let me say it again. Who is there to protect status and power and position. Always wants to be in control of how you are. And for those of you who are inside of a Kundalini awakening equation, that can no longer be the case. And if you're not looking at this 24/7, then you're not paying attention. You're part of the safeties for a reason. They weren't just put there because, I needed to fill in some space on the page. How we think and what our personal, inside emotional environment is extremely important with how we're going to receive the rest of the Kundalini evolution upon us. You are not less than anybody else because you don't have money. Look at me. I got, you listen to Amelia or Eileen or any of the other blessed students that I have, and they know that I don't have any money. They know that I have very little, but I don't care. I'm not insisting on, money does not make the, and I just want to say as an addendum to that, is like, you guys don't need to donate anything if you can't do it. It's only for those that want to do it, not insisting on anything. I will do these teachings until I pass. And I don't care if I'm just standing on the corner looking like a homeless person. I'll even put a few whiskey bottles at my feet just to complete the picture. And I'll just give Kundalini advice, and, hopefully they won't lock me up. So practice your emotional controls. Now I want to bring Holy online. Amelia, are you still there? Are you in the shower? What are you doing?
I'm here, Chrism. It just takes a moment to go in the red for my mute to come off. The sound is pretty good. Sometimes it wobbles, but it's pretty good.
Well, you gotta love it. I mean, Spashti's right. I mean, I'll just, we're just gonna have to move with this because I have a strong level of Kundalini, and it does interfere with cars and electronic items and my little internet box that another friend is giving me, and this aspects of the iPad. Although I have to compliment Apple company for creating something that isn't as prone to disruption from my Kundalini as others are. And in this, Amelia, I would like you to comment on this, on how you listen to your self-dialogue and what is happening to you as you hear these words from me.
Okay, Chrism. Well, first of all, as I hear those words from you, the Kundalini, it's the truth. I know that's the Kundalini in me. Resonates completely with me. And also, the safeties, when I first came, when I had my Kundalini awakening event, for a very short period of time, I had the most amazing experience. I was given to know, I think, this is not ego, I was given to know for a little while what it was like to have no ego. But then, bam, I'm back again, and my ego is big. And I have a very strong ego. And the thing that has been wonderful for me on this journey since I met with you and the Kundalini Awakening Safeties protocols is how they have become the cornerstone of my life, really, and how they have helped me so much in my emotional controls. And they are something that I practice 24/7. I didn't start off that way. I would have begun with doing the forgiveness. And I would have started with that, and I would have begun, doing the recapitulation and working on that. And as I committed to that, what began to happen was a process that the Kundalini came to me with. Things began to rise that needed more forgiveness, that I needed to go deeper into. And my emotional response to some of the things that I was working on with giving my forgiveness to became quite amplified, and this transferred, across different elements of my life, such as my family of origin and that sort of thing. And so it began to expand, and so my forgiveness began to expand. And then I began to bring, like, tolerance came into play then. I became aware, one of the safeties is tolerance, because I would find myself becoming very intolerant. And but, you know, my ego would let me know how justified that intolerance was. And so the teaching from you and from the safeties would suggest that I needed to practice my tolerance. And so I consciously, or I suppose I did, consciously begin to do this. And of course,
I can just see John's head going, yep, that's right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, he's listening to all this, but he's not here with me. I might call him down. But or maybe not. Hi, John. But what I found was, you know, when the tolerance was something that was when I needed to work on that, it expanded. It was for a little while as if, you know, tolerance was the thing that I was working on and bringing into my day. And then that would fade and something else would come up. For example, you know, I might need the inner joy was something, and honesty was something, and little by little all of these practices began to expand in my life and, you know, helped me to retrain the ego, really, because, it took me even a while to understand, and I probably still don't fully, but where I am now, I understand better at least, you know, how the ego has controlled me for decades and decades. And even though I had done a lot of work on myself before my Kundalini awakened, and I had done some forgiveness, and I was, you know, a kind person and all those kind of things, that really is a separate issue to how my Kundalini likes to be in charge. Or not my Kundalini, but my ego, how my ego likes to be in control. And so really the safeties, I talk about them all the time because they have been the thing that has brought balance into my life. Kundalini amplifies everything. And sometimes, you know, I needed those things as an anchor and as a compass. They are just incredible tools. I don't like using that word, but it's the only one I can think of. They are incredible tools and helpful protocols to use. And then using all of those, that can be done without a teacher even, but by having you as my teacher, well, because, you know, even working with the safeties, the ego still can fool you. But your teacher, or my experience has been that my teacher doesn't. And is honest.
Let's look at that. Now. Am I not sometimes antagonistic with you? And what is the purpose of that?
Well, yes, you are. And the purpose of that, I think, in my experience has been that the purpose of that triggers emotional responses in me sometimes, triggers a Kundalini or an ego response. And it's like a test, you know, at which I fail constantly.
You don't fail. No. It is always going to be a test. It is. Yeah, but you don't fail constantly. I won't accept that. No, you do. So people need.
In the failure, though, even that word isn't like in the test. There is amazing learning in that. When you because now I understand the process much better than I used to do. And so, therefore, you know, I do not respond in ego ways to your I'm not, I don't respond as I once did, and I'm on this learning thing with regard to my ego. And that is wonderful that there's no way I would be doing on my own, I feel. I know, there's no doubt about that. I know that is a fact. So the safeties and the input and the instruction and the feedback and, the antagonistic whatever, but just your dedication to me actually as my teacher has really been amazing in how my emotional controls are developing and how my ego doesn't have the same grip upon me as it once did. So I know that I am moving in the correct way, in a better direction, and I know that as well from how my Kundalini communicates with me throughout my day and as the years have been passing, So, that's my response.
Good response. And I must say that with almost all of the people that I work with within Kundalini, except for those who are in the total beginning of it, emotional controls are initiated into this. I may not be so challenging for everybody, but my Kundalini modulates those teachings. I am given when to be challenging and how much energy to put into that challenge and what form of challenge it's going to take, and constantly looking at ways of sharpening a person's skills at controlling their ego and controlling their emotional response. As you mentioned, tolerance is really, really, it's a huge subject, and it's with tolerance there are levels of discernment that must be made. Okay, must I tolerate this, and why? Okay, is it my ego that I've had enough of this, or is it something else in me that's saying, hey, you're not a doormat. Don't let people walk on you that way. You see, there are levels of discernment within tolerance that isn't so present within forgiveness. With forgiveness, I just want you to go there. Now, forgiveness is the strongest form because if you're truly forgiving, then nothing ever bothers you. Mm-hmm. Nothing ever bothers you because you've forgiven it all, okay? But that's not the case for most of us. For most of us, constantly inside of levels of emotional attack. We are attacked by our bosses. We're attacked by our teachers. Sometimes we're attacked by society. We're attacked by the police. We're attacked, by our family, our friends, perfect strangers. And it is there that we need to look into our level of tolerance and how we respond expressively to those challenges. And tolerance is a strengthening gift. The more tolerant you are, the stronger you are. The stronger you are, the more you're able to face adversity. Does that make sense to anyone? The more you're able to face adversity, greater levels of interaction that you can participate in as a soul, an ensouled body that's having Kundalini. And Kundalini will give you some adversity. It's really not all about happy, joy. It is about that at the time, but not always, because it will realize that, Chrism, his emotional practice, well then, the next experience that I'm arranging for him is not going to be happy, joy. It's going to be an experience that is going to help him learn how to modulate, to pay attention to his inner dialogue and his emotional and egotistic control. Kundalini will teach you that it's just Kundalini can be exceptionally harsh in its teachings for a person. It doesn't mess around at all. Sometimes it is very, very helpful to have a flesh teacher in place so that the experience can be communicated from flesh consciousness to flesh consciousness, and it comes through much sooner. You have a way of understanding. I just, helping a person just, yesterday. I just had Kundalini come to him, and he's having a very, very difficult time first with this. And firmly, the Kundalini is given into him, allow him to establish his egotistical controls. Part of ego control is fear. How are we going to deal with fear? Fear is one of the most primal our emotions of our experience, and it helps us to survive. Do we pick up that spider with the red violin on it? What? Probably not to do that. And our genetic history will tell us, like, oh, yeah, that particular
Chrism?
or that particular type of...
Chrism? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, you are, but maybe you could lower the volume a little bit again.
Are you serious?
It sounds like you've moved right up to the mic.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
so
you,
I think it's got to do with the tone, or the height of your volume, anyway. So maybe that lovely meditation sound again, maybe.
All right.
Okay.
It's better. Hello. I wonder if they have an adjusting thing on this iPad or not. I don't know. Can you hear me now? Is this all right?
That's perfect.
That's good. So fear is one of the biggest impediments to our enlightenment equation that is there. Fear is one of the most difficult things to overcome, and it is also one of the most powerful holds that the ego has over us. So it's important to look at fear control, and if you're looking at fear control, then looking at ego control as well. And for those of you who are hearing this broadcast, nothing has changed for me, but all of a sudden, I have to speak like in these whispers. I'll be looking for a mic control thing on this after the program. So how do you control your fear? What have you done in your life to control your fear? What fears have you faced, and why did you face it? And what happened? What was the result of you facing that fear? It's important for you to explore these areas. Go back into your past and look at how you have modulated, how you have worked with your fear, and realize that not only did you work on that fear, but you were also working on the ego and its control over how you are. Your higher functioning mental body is not powerless. It's the one to really make these choices right now, and it's the one that is being infused with the Kundalini at the same time that the ego is being. It's not just the ego, the Kundalini. There's you there too. There's your higher mental functioning terms. I use the Huna terms simply because they have it's a very Kundalini-esque type of belief system. And, it's not a belief system that I'm suggesting you partake of necessarily, but it does help with certain levels of explanation within a Kundalini teaching. Look at this level of fear that you have. Look at how you respond to others emotionally and find the fear within that response. Find the fear in how you relate to your social environment and how you relate to yourself inside. So, as some of you may know, I posted it yesterday. I was walking across a parking lot yesterday, and yesterday evening, not even 24 hours ago. And about, 20 feet from a sidewalk on the other side of the parking lot, I saw this young man running with a gun that it looked like he could barely hold it in his hand. It was a 38, police 38 special. I didn't recognize it as a cop's gun at the time. Just noticed it was a pistol. I was ready to tackle him. My Kundalini stopped me, and I felt the radiance spread in the situation. And then all of a sudden, nine undercover police tackle the guy that the limp-wristed guy was chasing. And I said, I realized then that, okay, all right. But I didn't feel fear in the situation. I feel more fear when I'm working on my car. But in those two situations, I didn't feel fear at that at all. And, they tackled him, and as they were going to brutalizing the man, tasering him or kicking him in the head and whatnot, like the cops like to do out here in the States, the captain looked at me, and then he just calmed everybody down immediately. And I just continued on my walk of fear. In a situation where most people would feel fear. That close to all these loaded guns. To find out they had snipers behind the other cars I was walking past that I just blithely did not notice. I recognized some of the snipers because I'd seen them earlier, like 2 years ago at a Taco Bell, and I recognized one guy who had a beard. He was there. And they all work for the Justice Department, which is kind of odd, the whole idea of justice. I guess it'd be bullet justice. But I wasn't afraid. And I would invite you to similar levels of being afraid within yourself and within the smallest things that may happen to you. Something goes bump in the night. If you're there alone, don't freeze up with fear. Have trust in your Kundalini. Trust in the process that's happening for you. And as you continue in the Kundalini, you're going to be given these challenges, as I mentioned before. Some of these challenges are going to be there directly to scare you, to bring you into an equation of controlling your fear. That is another form of ego control, because it's the ego that fears. Your mental self doesn't fear. Your spiritual self certainly doesn't fear. But your ego will fear. And your emotional self will bond to those fears. And those fears will begin to control how you feel about certain situations. So it's very important for you to look at your self-dialogue, your inner dialogue, and look at the other areas where you're fearing. So not only are you looking at your ego and how much your ego is present in your inner dialogue, I also want you to look at your fear, a product of your ego dialogue. And just to repeat, your inner dialogue are the words you say to yourself all day long. That's your inner dialogue. So look at that. If there's anybody that would like to call and join our conversation, the phone number is 347-934-0026. Yes, Amelia.
Fashji has made the suggestion here. He says, I don't know if this makes sense, but if Chrism is holding the iPad, maybe if he can wedge it on the dashboard, it may cut down on his energetic interference.
Well, Fashji, you're right on the money there. You're right on the money. I am not holding the iPad. The iPad is indeed on the dash of the car. And I am about 5 feet away from it now, talking barely audibly to myself. But maybe it's just my bad hearing.
It's actually very good, Chrism. Seriously, the sound volume is good, and the interference has certainly got better from my perspective here since you dropped the tone a little bit. So, is that a strain?
I'm sweating in the car. I don't want to roll the windows down for all the noise in the neighborhood here, and I'm just like going, oh my word, okay. I'm talking very softly. Maybe it's a good thing. This is not my normal volume, but maybe I need to explore these softer volumes as well. Thank you for that, Amelia Santana. So look at the levels of fear that are controlling you. Look at the levels of fear that are controlling your emotional response. And this leads into emotional defense mechanisms as well. Fear is a component of your emotional defense mechanism. So you will feel fear if you feel that your personality is being slighted. And that affects your placement in society, your power and your placement, and like sharks in the water, if they smell blood, people will attack, and this is often the case. And so the ego knows this, and so it initiates a fear response if anybody is impugning the character or the activities that a person is having. That person's ego will jump in, initiate fear into the process, and the fear in the process initiates a defense mechanism that, oh, no, you don't. You are not going to treat me that way, or you're not going to say this or that. And, so the fear begins to fuel a defense response, and that defense response can come out quite sharply and quite hurtfully. And if you're not astute enough or discerning enough to determine the level of emotional content in the other person's words to you, then a very hurtful interaction can occur, and especially with a Kundalini person, because with Kundalini, the radiance will cut deep into another. This is one of the most important things, really, that we've ever talked about here on this program, is emotional control. If you don't have the ability to control how you think and what you feel, then you are peppering the rest of society with those bullets of anxiety, those bullets of fear, those bullets of anger or grudge or resentment or fear. Your radiance carries that quite along with it. It's not a problem. Radiance is radiance. Radiance is like a carrier wave of many different levels of intent. And if you're not controlling, if you're not taking responsibility for your inner dialogue and for your inner thoughts and your emotions and your feelings, then those qualities are also being carried into the radiance, which are affecting the people around you, which is why your healing skills will have a very negligible value. In other words, you don't get to be a real hateful person and then go out and call yourself a healer, because you're not. If anything, you're a disease, a walking, talking, emitting disease, because of what it is you're putting into the environment. I know that was a strong word, but it is. It is a fact. As soon as you start taking control of your emotional body, as soon as you start taking control of your ego, then you become a grace. And yes, then the healing skills and the healing positions will open themselves up for you, but you must do it more than once. None of what I'm talking about is a one-time deal. It's a constant reinforcement of constant levels of Kundalini-based discernment over how the ego is affecting you and how your emotional body is affecting you, and what you need to do to form a greater level of Kundalini awakening equation within yourself. And that greater level has to do directly with emotional control and ego control. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm shouting now, but it's a truth. It's a truth. It must occur. It must occur. And I will suggest that it needs to occur. Really. A lot of you may be having some difficult dreams at night. And many of those dreams are going to be about your levels of interaction of fear and power and position and fear of losing this, or fear of gaining that. All of your wants and all of your desires are backed up by fear of not having them. Want of gain and fear of loss. So you want to get them, and you're afraid if you don't have them. And then when you have them, I want you to begin to take your equation. If you're selling a car or a boat or some possession of yours, I want you to take the fear of not selling it out of the equation. You're trying to get to a concert or a talk somebody's giving or a seminar or whatever, and you don't have enough money. I want you to take fear out of the equation, because it's just the idea that you don't have enough, which is just another fear. You get rid of that fear, the levels of abundance. And you get rid of that, and you're not afraid to lose that abundance. If that needs to take the fear out of, take the ego out of the equation. Let the Kundalini fill in the spaces. I'm sorry if I'm shouting. But let the ego go. Ego needs to go, or at least to be retrained. It needs to go away in its present state, and it needs to be replaced by a Kundalini trained ego. You let the Kundalini begin to form your decisions and form your thoughts and form your conclusions. It's not easy at first to discern your normal thinking self from. I understand that as well, but it takes practice, and the more you practice things, and you need to do that. You start on the small things. How I relate to my spouse, how I relate to my teacher, how I relate to my friends, family, how I relate to my dog, my cat. And I really, you may think that I'm joking with that, but no, because in our society, at least in the States here, it's the dogs and the cats that will take the most brutal, emotional-based abuse. Or the kids, the dog, kick a cat. Whenever we can't express some heated emotional issue with another, who do you think is going to be the recipient of that anger? It's going to be the dog or the cat or any other pet that happens to be around that you feel you can disrespect. Don't disrespect them. The animals are back to love, and if we really look at it with true hearts and true discernment, they are teaching us how to be. They are teaching us to remember how natural we can be and still be happy without money, still be happy without a 1963 blue Ford F-100, still be happy without clothing, still be happy by being loving creatures of love. So animals have a very pure level of communication that they're not using as. They teach us how to remember what we can be. Like dolphins are the same way. So realize that you also, you're not really, I hate to use the word allowed, but it's not advisable for you to take out your emotional tantrum on an animal. Yeah. Very, very important. Very, very important. And you don't get to just use them either. They need to be taken care of. They need to be given the love that they give, if not more. You need to be as responsible for the animals as you are for your own children. So if you have a comment that you'd like to make, and my iPad kind of pushes me out here after a certain amount of time. Okay, I'm getting closer to the iPad, so I'm going to have to talk really loud, quietly here. If you have a comment and you'd like to join in the conversation, feel free to call 347-934-0026 and join in the conversation. I'd like to bring Her Holiness Eileen on board. Hello, Eileen.
Hi, Chrism.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm having a hard time hearing you. You are, every once in a while, you're very clear, and the rest of it is garbled, so I'm straining to catch the words. So
are you serious?
I'm getting the gist of it.
Well,
but I'm on the phone. Apparently other people aren't having this issue as much.
Well, I'll try to bring it up at least now. How's this right there?
Yeah, that's really good. That's very good.
Real good. And of course, the people on the computers are covering their ears now. So tell me, what has your experience been with the ego and emotional control?
Oh, jeez.
No, come on now.
Yeah, come on now.
It's not that bad.
It's been difficult. I feel I'm in a much better place now. What I find, now things happen, and I can get very upset and very angry, and then it doesn't last very long. And within a short period of time, I'm looking at it and going, well, that was interesting. And I can actually smile about it, and I'm letting things. I know you don't let things bother you. I have an issue now that I sleep on a blow-up mattress. Well, it's losing air, and I'm thinking, okay, this means that if this goes and I can't fix it.
Are you jumping on the mattress, Eileen?
No, but anyway, it happened yesterday, or it's two nights now. But Chrism, it doesn't bother me. I keep thinking, well, I may end up on the floor, but it doesn't matter.
Too, sleeping on the floor is very healthy. Well, I mean, granted, you may want to put a sheet down, something like that, but sleeping on the floor on a hard surface can be, shall I say, a soft, hard surface can be very, very helpful for the. And maybe that's.
Yeah, well, you're fading a little bit, but.
Maybe that's the instruction you're being given, Eileen.
Oh, you're right. But I want to tell you what I did. I called the company first, and of course they said, well, you have to do it yourself or try to fix it or whatever. And she told me how to do it, and then I thought, I called my mechanic because they work with tires, and believe it or not, he told me to bring it in, and they will check it for me. And I'm thinking, this is really nice, and it just makes me feel good that, I don't know how many people would think to call their mechanic when they have a mattress that's not holding air. But so anyway, I'm pursuing that, and if it doesn't work, well then.
And the fact that you didn't get angry at it gave you enough, I think, energy and impetus to go outside of the box and find a solution to that situation. So I compliment you on that. I know that what about your levels of fear? How are those coming?
Oh, well, I was thinking as you were talking about interactions with people. I don't think I feel, or I'm not aware of fear. I get more angry or irritated more than anything. But then I just try to. That's all right. I just try to separate myself from it and walk away and say, well, this is just the way it is. I do feel fear.
You could change that. It doesn't have to be the way it is. You can actually, initiate a form of resolution. Maybe it's this way right now, but this can change. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Or, you can also kick in the whole tolerance thing, too, and use tolerance as a way to just kind of give yourself a break and go, okay, we'll see how long this lasts and what I can do to resolve it, in the meantime.
Right.
I want everybody to know that Lasha has joined the conversation.
Oh.
And, she says hello.
Well, she doesn't want to be left out.
No, she doesn't. And so she is not left out. She's in the conversation, and she's modulating. She has really good emotional control. Lasha does. She could teach us all a thing or two about emotional control. Anyway, well, thank you, Eileen. Thank you for that, and I'm going to put you in the Shiva Blues.
Thank you.
So there you have it. Eileen, I think, gave us a pretty good example about, a gentle example about fear, and you're going to hear some because I have the door open, about a gentle fear and, like a leak in your mattress. I mean, imagine if it was a waterbed. It wouldn't be so easy to just dismiss. But hers is an air mattress, and so, of course, she's going to take it to people who plug the holes in rubber items. Of course, that's going to be the case. And so, I tip my hat to Eileen for her lack of being bothered by it, being creative to reach outside the normal routine of what a person would do, and calling a gas station or a tire repair shop to fix a mattress. I think that's great. I think that's the way to do it. You'll hear some bells because Lasha's here. And hey, don't that on my seat. She's testing my emotional control there. She scratches the heck out of my back seat. So yeah. Eileen gave us a great example, and so. Many of my fears in my early equation were difficult fears, and for me especially. I was dealing with Kundalini phenomena that was just amazing, telekinetic, and having nature spirits come that were nature spirits are like little elves. They're not. They're exceptionally powerful emanations of Shakti that literally can shake the trees towards your direction. It can be exceptionally fierce, and I was dealing with that and a lot of these types of things. But once again, as you trust your Kunalini. As you trust your Kundalini, and you don't allow the ego to push more survival-based fear into your system. You trust the Kundalini, you give to the Kundalini that trust, and that trust forms a strength within you. And as you have that strength, and as you practice that trust, that stronger and stronger, there will be very little that you have left to fear. Very little that you have left to fear. I want you to understand that, and I want you to practice that. Yes, Your Holiness.
Okay, Chrism, there's a question here from Suka, or a comment. She says, Suka says, the last 2 weeks, my emotional body makes me shaking and trembling a lot. It feels like a period of cleaning up, but it makes me very tired.
So she's having kriyas. She's having little shaking kriyas, and you'll have emotional kriyas attached to physical kriyas often. And the Kundalini will begin to siphon off energy. I'm looking at your equation, and I see certain levels of things that aren't being done. You need to stay hydrated. You need to keep your mineral mix strong. You need to eat foods that are healthy and non-sugar based or non-stimulant based, as organic and as natural as you can get. Watermelon would be a great assistance to you. Taking caffeine, if you're using that to treat your lack of energy or the fact that you're tired. Kundalini will, and do the 5 Tibetans. Do the 5 Tibetans. Open yourself to more if you're able to do that. You do want to tolerate a lot of the symptoms that the Kundalini will bring to a person. Having the shaking kriyas, they are kriyas no less important and no less necessary than some of the larger, shall we say, grand mal kriyas. It's splice in a medical term there. Pay attention to your sexuality. Are you reaching orgasm? Are you expelling energy that way from your system? What are you doing? Are you exercising? Are you grounding? Are you getting into the mud? Are you getting into the earth? Are you sitting up next to a tree and envisioning the roots as your roots, as the Shakti, as the trunk of the tree in your spine? There's a lot that is being not said about your process. Look, are you eating a lot of vegetables, or is it only vegetables? Are you eating some meat? Sometimes we need compact protein in order to initiate the level of energy within us. But if we have this program within us that says, "Oh no, I can't eat meat," well then you're going to suffer some of the weaknesses that can be given through a resistance, and I'm not suggesting this is the case for this person, but I'm just speaking generally to everyone. You need to not resist the Kundalini at all, even if it forces you to change your diet. And Amelia can tell you a bit about that. And I think she has in other programs where she was vegetarian for many, many years until the Kundalini told her she had to eat meat. And she found some fish. She ate the fish, and for a little bit of time, she liked it, right?
Yeah, right, Chrism. First of all, I was a meat eater, and I became vegetarian. And after 2 years, I started then to be a vegan, and 2 more years, I was given to eat meat. And it's about doing, surrendering to what it is the Kundalini gave for me. And the fish was very pleasant. So far, in the last 7 years, I haven't yet been given to eat any other type of flesh except fish for those 2 years, but who knows? When that time comes, I'm open to surrendering to that. And yes, oh God. Correct. Yeah, I was thinking about fears. Yeah, eggs are a fear. No, but I had a lot of fears, Chrism. Even falling asleep because I had horrendous dreams. That there was a fear in that. I was afraid of flying. I was afraid of lifts. I couldn't even get into a lift in a building. I had a huge amount of fears. I had a fear of water because I used to have horrendous drowning fears, and my goodness me, fear of roller coasters, spiders, bugs, dogs. Hang on,
Amelia. Hang on. I just want to say one thing. Yeah. John, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, I guess he's laughing. Yeah, he'll remember those times well. Yeah. I'm not going to listen anymore now.
How did you overcome them? What were you doing to overcome them?
Well, for some of them, yeah, they were all resolved in different ways. But generally, it was trust, and there was trust, and there was also doing what it was I feared. A little bit like some of the fears you initiated as well in your teachings when you would have given me to do certain things and fear would rise. Well, in the same way, I faced those fears and I trusted, and they resolved in that way.
I'm going to mention and you can stay on here unless it starts getting that echoey that it sometimes does with you. One of the fear tests, everybody, that I give to people is my own form of chod. It's a Tibetan term. It's spelled CHO, the umlaut, or the O, and D as in dog. Chod. And in the chod, you are tied in a star position, so your arms are out wide and your legs are out wide, and you're tied to the earth. And typically by trees, or if you're out in a barren space, then somebody hammers in stakes, and you're tied, and you're praying, and you're asking the demons to come and rip your threads. That's a classical chod. For my version of the chod, I just have you tied up, and I let the Kunalini do what it wants. So the Kunalini will bring the levels of interaction and the levels of fear to the face inside that equation. And I have done this with a few students, and it is quite fear evoking.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think so, Amelia?
Yes, I would imagine it is. And of course, everybody knows that this has been one of the things that I have done. And yes, I mean, yeah, when I was given to do this, and the fear that arose within me, because it was pitch black night, it was in a forest, a lot of fears rose up to me, and it's exactly what happened. The emotional body does bond with those fears, and oh my God, the stuff that rises up, that the self-talk and the inner dialogue, and the not wanting to do it, and the lots of other reactions that I would have had. Yes, trusting and taking that step into trust, and trusting the instruction that was given for me, not understanding all about why it was, but trusting that my teacher knew, all the reasons for it, and trusting my Kundalini as I went out to do the chod, and then having, all what happened while I was there and when it's finished, and the amazing learning and the experience that was had from that was incredible, really.
Yeah, very useful tool. I'm talking to the floor now so that I'm not too loud for people. But and this is one of those tools, and I don't suggest that anybody does it outside of having a teacher. If you don't have a teacher, don't do it. I won't go into the ins and outs of it all, but these are just different methodologies that the Kunalini has given to use with people to face their fears. I have some students that are afraid of they're afraid of a bug, they're afraid of a mouse, they're afraid of things that creep and crawl, and so, of course, the first thing I do is take them into an area where there are things that creep and crawl.
Well, they creep and crawl in the woods, for sure. There are so many. Oh, we have a caller, and I think it's Vashti.
Yeah.
I'll put him
through. Go ahead. Thank you.
Am I on?
Hey.
Hey.
You were?
Hi. You know what? I was sitting up here, and I called in earlier, and I think Eileen was on. And you went off in another direction, but you arrived back here at this point, and I thought that I would jump in, and I hope that I didn't cut on Tara's shore.
She's a pretty tall woman. She can
No, Fasti, indeed not. It's lovely to hear you. So I'm going in the blue now, so you can speak away there.
Oh, it's blue. I thought it was green. Okay, it's blue. All right, got it. Shakti and Shiva. Got it.
That's right. Go ahead, my friend. Continue.
Anyway, I have been listening to this, and it's just like, it's so wonderful to hear this. I wanted to point out that the safeties are a sort of a refinement tool. And I know we don't like to use the word tool, but maybe I could say a process or something like that. A refinement process, because this whole experience with the ego and its losing control and not wanting to, and sort of getting a little bit more desperate than it normally would, and it will use certain devices. But the point I'm trying to make is this. I think that this whole thing with the safeties and the refinement process is that it will continue beyond the point at which we have bodies. It's something that is going to go on as long as we exist. In other words, I'm feeling that there are so many different levels of refinement in this process of putting the ego aside, or actually its control, because it seems that, as individuals we need a certain measure of it, but this fight never goes on. Each time we forgive someone, each time we tolerate, an act by someone that we feel might not be in our best interest, those levels are going to continue to get more and more refined. And so it never stops. And so the thing that the K and me was saying is that, well, you got to go on and at least say that it never stops. It continues on and on as we get more and more refined.
Well, it does. And that's, there's karma right there. We learn, we get when you die, you do get a review of your life, not maybe instantaneously and not maybe in the way that Hollywood portrays it, but we do get a review of our life. We do get to see every interaction and that we did and how the other people felt about that part of our interaction.
Right.
So this is a constant level of refinement that is occurring, Fasti, and you're very astute to see that and to notice that. And these are indeed a platform for refinement that the Kundalini has given for us to follow. And I really, really strongly suggest, I urge anyone inside of the Kundalini awakening process to practice the safeties. You can reach the safeties at www. all one word, KundaliniAwakeningSystem1.com. Look at the left side menu and about the fifth one down are safeties. Click on that, copy that, hard copy that, put it in the bathroom, put it in your bedroom, put it in the living room, put it anywhere where you can access it and read it and begin to express those qualities, those practices. Fasti, you're doing a great job to really direct people. What is that noise? To direct people to the quality of karma, the qualities of for that which we give, so shall we receive.
Yes. Thank you, Master C.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I was just hoping that I could also point out that the more that we receive, the more responsible we have to become, and that's something else that.
Oh no! That is true. Great power comes great responsibility, and Kundalini is that great power. And part of having responsibility for such a great power is to begin to go inside yourself and make the corrections so that your radiance doesn't carry out into the populations your imperfections or the areas of challenge you have yet to.
Oh, I'm sorry. My dog is active now.
No, he's a good dog. You give him a love pat.
Yeah, he's spoiled. Thank you, Master. I just wanted to share that with the group, and you know, it mattered to me because I saw this very clearly that no matter where we think we are on the path, there's always the plus element involved. There's always so much more that's there, and so that should keep the ego.
Yes, it does.
But
so, I mean, you know, a lot of people think they have the Kundalini, therefore that's it for them. There's nothing else to do. The Kundalini came to them, and so they don't have to do anything now. And
right.
It's not the case. It's just not the case. I mean, the Kundalini, it drives us towards our refinement. It's a new state of living and interacting, and you know, it's a whole new level of life, and the amazing quality of it is as you state, no matter where we are in our process, there's always room for improvement.
Yes, that's it. Okay.
Yes?
I was just going to get out of the way here, head off into the blue, so that if anybody else had anything. I'm sorry.
You know, I've got room on here for a lot of different callers. So, you know, never feel like you have to jump away, unless of course you want to jump away. You know, I understand that too. It's not always hard. It's not always easy to be up here.
You know, I also want to share. I also see how my situation right now has been brought from my highest good, because I needed to learn more in this refinement process that I was talking about, Master C. I needed to see more, and now that I've realized this, and based on this whole the show, I'm able to look at that in an honest way, and I'm grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm grateful for you for coming up with areas of interest. They're quite conducive to people beginning to hold and take responsibility for how they feel and how much of their ego they control their lives.
Exactly.
You know, it's very, very important to initiate these protocols, these safety protocols, but also the protocols of self-discernment and how to have levels of, and I'm probably talking way too loud here. I could put a sock in my mouth. Can you hear me now? Is it better? Can you hear? Oh. I'm holding a pillow to my face.
No, you're not. Stop.
I know. I got a pillow. Anyway.
I don't think it's what you're doing verbally as much as it is what you're doing energetically. I mean, you're probably the car is glowing. You know, if it was over here in this time zone, it would probably be glowing.
It's not so much volume, actually. It's, you know, if you think of the scale, do, re, mi, fa, so, and when you're singing so, you need to come down to mi, you know, or re. That's the thing.
I see. So,
pardon me.
Now, I would like the two of you to join me right now. I'd like to join me in, and you just, I'll say it really slow, and you can repeat it after me, okay? This is for the sleepers. Kavin Kavinam Pamashavastamam, Jaishtavacham Brahmina Brahmaspata Anaha, Asambanu TBC de Saranam. And this is a prayer to the elephant god, Ganesh. And I have found that this elephant god in the Hindu religion, Ganesh, is very, 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 very much based on the activities of the elephant in the jungle. An elephant herd in the jungle, if it wants something to move out of its way, guess what? It moves out of its way. The elephant's so large, it's the largest land mammal that we know. And it will move the trees, it will clear a path. A herd of elephants will clear a path through a forest and through a jungle. And so, quite naturally, the Indian people at the time determined that the elephant is the remover of obstacles. And for our sleepers, I always like to remove the obstacles that may be between them and their Kundalini, as it teaches them the necessary lessons for each of those individuals as they listen to our program. And so, my friends, my sleeping friends, know that just as the quality... I'm going to have to hold still now. Everybody hold still. Just as the qualities of the elephant removes obstacles from the path, so does the Shakti in my voice and in your bodies remove and highlight obstacles in your path so that you may see and understand and make the appropriate choices in your life, that those obstacles may not reform to block your progress. So my sleeping friends, enjoy your slumber, enjoy your lessons, and go back into them. Go back into them. Everybody, thank you, Faustine and Amelia, for joining me in that brief little message to our sleeping friends. You know, I used to do that too. You know, I would find a speaker that I liked, and geez Louise, you know, I couldn't stay awake long enough, and I would just let it go in my sleep, and I found it very helpful. Have either of you done that?
Yes, I've done it with your CD.
Oh. Wow. Poor thing. That's when you had a nightmare?
I was getting ready to say, I'm sorry, I've been remiss.
No, indeed not. My nightmare is, no.
John.
What I would recommend...
Yep. John's going, well, so have I.
Well, I would recommend it. John and I have on occasion put it on and fallen asleep together. So, yeah, it's... But, no, not every night or anything, but on occasion.
Talk about tolerance. John's got a lot of tolerance.
Well, yeah, he actually has, in all fairness, but he also, he can speak for himself.
Very wise
choice.
I would recommend that, though, if anybody has the CD, and to listen to the sound of your voice, Chrism, and the Shakti coming through it. I mean, I know of no better thing to listen to, so anyway.
Except all the other CDs that you have in your car. Yeah, I get it.
Well, I don't sleep. We're talking about when I'm going to sleep.
That's true. If anybody wants the CD, I believe Her Holiness is handling this, and you can contact Laurel at eloro55 at yahoo.com. So Laurel55@yahoo.com, and she's some copies. If anybody wants those copies, please contact Eileen. And I think there are charge for that because of the materials and the shipping. It's going to be $3 more for anybody that's hearing overseas, which would be Europe or Asia, Africa, Australia, anybody overseas. Hawaii, I believe it's still the same. And the price is $15 or $18, depending on where you live and how much postage is required for that. So, and for those of you at this particular moment can't afford it, well, just don't care. Let me know. And at KFire for All, KFIREFORALL at yahoo.com. And make arrangements. It does seem to help people.
Oh, Vashti just went and he took the sound with him. So the special effects are gone.
the Canadian sound. It's like the Irish sound. Yeah, I got that. So, yeah.
Should we, Chrism, speak with Eileen about the seminar?
Please, yes. Put her on right now. Hey, Eileen.
Hi, I'm here.
To get your email.
Do you want information about the seminar? The seminar is
Please.
The seminar is
Go
September 20. I'm trying. It's September 27th and 28th. It's being held in Eagan, Minnesota, and it's about 10 minutes from the airport. The hotel is Best Western in Eagan, and there is a shuttle from the airport. So if anybody wants to come in, there's a shuttle. We have a reception on Friday evening for those who get in early enough. And what else? Chrism will be in Minnesota the week before, and he's giving 5 talks in various venues throughout the Twin Cities.
And Rose's email?
Oh, the email is rosemaryg@usinternet.com. That's rosemaryg@usinternet.com. And the phone number for those in the Twin Cities area or out of the area, 651-452-3161. So we would love to have you visit and meet Chrism and other Kundalini people or interested Kundalini people. We're looking forward to it. Any other questions, Chrism?
Oh, thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's wonderful, wonderful. Did I get your email right?
I kind of heard it. It's eloro55@yahoo.com.
Very good.
I think you
very good. Yeah, I got it right. And they can contact you for the CDs, right?
Yes.
All right. Very good, my dear. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, my dear Amelia Santara, any last words that you would like to say?
No, Chrism, I think just again to reiterate about the safeties and for people to go and read the safeties and, as you say, write them out, print them out and place them in, areas of the house, I think is very helpful initially anyway. So thank you very much. This has been a really interesting show, just like all of them. So see you again next week.
All right, my dear. We'll see you again next week, and thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody, I would like to say, be forgiving. Use that powerful refinement platform. Be tolerant. Listen to your inner dialogue. Probably speaking way too loud now. Listen to your inner dialogue. Be as tolerant and forgiving as you can. Practice your emotional control every day, as much of the day and night as you can. Begin to do this actively. Don't think that this is just something you do sometime or when you feel you need it. Do it all the time, as much as you can, and self-correct. Self-correct. If you find that your ego has co-opted a certain expression, you correct it. You take that expression. And remember, it's going to be a little difficult to determine what is your ego and what is your normal, higher mental functioning self. But if it has to do with fear, if it has to do with greed, if it has to do with power, position, it's going to be coming from your ego in these new areas, this new landscape as you begin to work on your emotional body and your psychological ego body. Don't go off on people anymore. Don't go off on them. Think about what it is you do before you do it. Control your thoughts. Take control of your thoughts. And I know this is kind of counter to what some of the other teachers will say. Oh, just let the thoughts come and act on them as you. No, not with Kundalini. With Kundalini, it's different. When you have Kundalini, you have a very, very big footprint. A footprint, about a mile across. And you affect everybody, some degree within the footprint. So you can take responsibility for your emotional responsibility for how your ego is interacting with you and do your best to open to Kundalini and let it flow as you work on the ego and your emotional controls. I'd like to thank you all for joining us in the show today. I would like to thank those in the archives who are joining this show later on. Hello to you. I would like to thank Amelia and Eileen and Fashji and the other person that called. I'd like to thank all of you on the chat room. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to next week's program.